Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are starting a new project. I went on AliExpress.com and ordered the cheapest e-bike kit I could get. That included this motor for about $64 and this bracket which attaches it to the rear fork of the bike, something like that. And it's got a little thumb throttle with a state of charge indicator, and then a rag joint sprocket and a little bit of chain, the controller. All that's included. I also got a battery for about $27, and that's a lithium-ion, and it says it's 100 amp hours, and there's no way it's even close to that. But it's charging now with a fan on the AC adapter, so it hopefully doesn't catch on fire. Anyway, the goal for this project is to see how far we can get, how much range we can get out of the cheapest e-bike kit on whatever random bike I have laying around. I have 8 to pick from. We're going to go pick those out soon. But basically, we are building a range machine with the largest uphill battle ever. So stay tuned for that. Oh, and before we go outside and pick out a bike to put this motor on, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell, as always. But also extra special this time, we have an in-depth breakdown of all these things as I unbox them with specs, details, and then you can just see what kind of packaging this came in and all that. That video will be coming out shortly after this one, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. Let's go pick out some bikes. Okay, I dug out all my bikes, aired up the tires, and weighed all of them. Turns out the lightest bike is this Schwinn Comp aluminum on the end here. It's a pretty nice bike actually. However, we have very knobby treads, and that's not going to have very good rolling resistance, or there will be a lot of it. So I decided on this old school Schwinn World road bike. It only weighs 32 pounds, which is a quarter of a pound more than that bike. But it has very nice skinny tires, and everything works on it for the most part, except for this derailleur here. So this is junk, and someone tried to fix it and it's just jank. That's not a problem. I have lots of parts bikes that we can pick from. So I think we're gonna get this bike cleaned up and fixed up and taken inside here so we can start wrenching on it. Okay, little update on the battery here. It's been staying right around room temperature, about a degree above room temp. I was a little skeptical at first. Even the BMS, yep, same temperature. The charger, it had a hot spot here where it was hitting about 114 when the battery was first charging. That's about 10 degrees above room temp right now. I do have a fan on it just because I didn't trust it, but yeah. I also have a timer on it for 4 hours, and we're just about at the end of the timer. And yeah, it seems to be safe and charging properly. All right, I got the bike up on the bench here. I just pulled off this back derailleur quick, and you can see it's very bent up. Yeah, that's definitely not holding any chain. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this front derailleur as well, just because it is also very bent up, and I don't really need gears if I have a motor. So that's the plan. See how much of this I can do with my limited indoor tool kit. All right, that is off. I'm just checking around for a master link in case this is an aftermarket chain. I am not seeing one. So I think we are going to have to break this chain in order to install the new rear derailleur. All right, welcome back, guys. I just wanted to bring you in for another angle here up close on the chain alignment and show you my new idea. Okay, so after I took the chain off, I was looking down the sprockets, and if you look closely, the middle sprocket on the rear and the larger sprocket on the front line up. So for simplicity's sake, I think I'm just going to remove both derailleurs entirely and just shorten the chain. All right, and before I shorten this chain up, it's a little stiff in a few spots because it's rusty, so I'm just gonna go and put a wire wheel on this out in the garage just to clean it up a bit, and then we'll come back in here and get the chain fitted back on the bike. All right, I got our chain cleaned up here. So I'll go ahead and break this and then cut back once I have the chain on. All right, and there we go. We now have a fully functional pedal drive system. Those bearings definitely need some grease, but overall I'm happy with this. We have good chain tension, it's lined up, it's not throwing the chain. That'll be enough to get us up to like 5 to 10 miles an hour just to give that little motor a break while we're accelerating. On to the next step. All right, so I have our new sprocket that we're going to be using for the drive, for the motor side, and then our rake joint that's going to mount up on the back side of the wheel here, left side. So I'm going to go ahead, pull the wheel off, and then while it's off, I'm going to drip some oil down into this free wheel, trying to get that to free up a little bit, and then re-grease and pack those bearings on the axle to the wheel. So let's go out to the garage and do that. Wow, look at all the play in those bearings. I'm calling it now. There's going to be one or two missing. Also, yeah, a little stiff on the freewheel. All right, let's see if we can work some oil in here. Just some motor oil. Can also start with a penetrating oil, but those do evaporate out, so just keep that in mind. But we'll see if we can use it to thin it up a bit to get started. Yep, that's working in there. All right, so now I'm just going to be tearing down this wheel and taking the bearings out and cleaning them up. I'll just time-lapse through that. I'm sure most of you guys know how to do that, so just so you can see that it's getting done, I guess. See you when the time-lapse is done. All right, so it turns out that we didn't have any missing balls for our bearings, so that's good. I was able to adjust them and grease them, and they turn great now. I wasn't able to remove the freewheel though, because I don't have the specialty tool for this type. I tried to hammer and chisel, but I was either hitting it the wrong way or it's rusted on for good. But I was able to get in there with a rag and clean out the dirt and old grease and then put in some new stuff. It's not as good as totally taking it apart, but this will be good enough for what we're doing. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Next up, we're just going to throw on this rag joint. All right, the rag joint sprocket is officially on. Like all of them, it's not perfectly true because it was just stamped out, and you get what you get for, you know, whatever it is I said in the beginning that we paid for it. While I was working on this, I looked very closely at the tire, and you can probably see it from far away that it is probably been expired since like the 90s. It is quite bad. So I'm going to go dig through my pile of bike parts and see if I can find a tire that fits that's in better condition before I put this wheel back on the bike. All right, I'm back from the garbage pile. I have found a tire that is basically brand new. It still has the little casting things on the very tip of the tire tread. So someone basically rode this like never or once and then parked it outside for like 30 years because our gum walls all cracked up, which isn't great, but it's better than this lumpy garbage on the edge of this tire on the outer circumference. So I'm going to kick it back with the time lapse and get this new tire on there. All right, there we have it. The new tire slash very old tire that's marginally better is on, and I rolled it around and it looks like it's not going to be lumpy. It just looks absolutely heinous from the sidewalls, which, yay. Let's go ahead and throw this wheel back on the bikes. All right, guys, welcome back. So I have greased all the bearings on the bike off camera, and now I am just truing up this rear sprocket. And what I'm using for that is a dry erase marker. So right now we have a little bit of wobble like this. And basically I'm just going to spin it and then slowly put my marker up against the outer surface until it makes contact. All right, and here's a close-up of that process for you guys. And then you can see where that black marker showed up. All right, now that we have that sprocket as good as it's going to get, we're going to go ahead and install our bracket onto our motor. All right, now that we have our motor mounted up on the bracket, we're going to go ahead and loosen the rear axle, and that will allow us to fasten the bracket here. right. We'll see how this lines up. Ooh, not at all. Okay, so as you can see, we have a pretty bad chain alignment issue. What I'm gonna have to do here is get the bottom part of this bracket out. I don't know why the bends here are different lengths. I assume it's maybe for a different frame style that attaches maybe at the center of the seat post instead of on the outsides, and maybe it's for a shorter frame overall, which would have a different angle. Either way, what I'm going to have to do is bend this bottom bracket in the vise a little bit more until this is the correct angle for that front sprocket and rear sprocket to line up. All right, you can see I have the bracket bent up. We have more of an angle on the bottom now. It's still not perfect. It is very soft metal. I was able to bend this up by hand, so I'm really anxious about bending it multiple times because I'm pretty sure it's just going to fatigue and fall into two pieces. But I'm looking at it here, and I think we are closer than we were before, but I think I can make this up by shimming with washers on the mounting bolts for the motor, and then we can center on that center bolt, we can pivot and then stack washers on the top and bottom bolts until we get exactly where we want, or at least close enough. You can see how far away it is from the bracket here, and that's just something we're not going to make up by bending. If we get this bent to where we need to be, this is going to be touching the spokes up front. So I think what we're going to do is just try out the washers and then see if that does the trick. All right, I have this bracket right where I want it, so I'm going to go ahead and clamp it down with these little half moon things that came with it. They have the threads tapped right into the clamp. So I should be able to just bolt that up real quick here. All right, and here our bracket is installed on the bike. I did have to do a little bit of work with the Dremel. You can see I slotted this down, and then that allowed the round part of this clamp to fit on the correct part here, so it's around the tubing. And then I had to move these slots a little bit further to the right, and then that clamp is now lined up pretty good. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with this. Let's go ahead and get that motor mounted up and shimmed. And there we go. We officially have a motorized bike at this point. And you can see we have our sprocket alignment dead on the nuts. The key was 2 of these lock washers for shims. And then I did have to loosen this axle and tilt the wheel in a little bit just to get an Allen wrench on this bolt way back here. And then I had to use this style that has the little groove cut in it. That took a while, but we are now ready to put a chain on and we'll be rolling in no time. All right, so I have our chain here that came with the kit. I've removed a couple of links and then just left this pin out, or just kind of hanging on the edge there, so I can put the chain back together with my new chain breaker tool. So yeah, I'm just kind of lining it up here and then seeing where it's going to land. I think I'm going to have to make some adjustments to the mounting bracket or add a different tensioner. It's pretty tight in here. And the chain is also just barely rubbing on the frame. I think we're just gonna have to live with that. Yeah, so we do have a little bit of play here in the chain. So, I'll go ahead, put these 2 chains together and then do some adjustments, and then hopefully we can get this tight without adding a tensioner. All right, I was able to get the chain on. However, as you can see, we have way too much slack in the chain. I wasn't able to get it where I wanted by adjusting the bracket. It only moves about 1/8 of an inch, just due to the triangulation and how geometry works. But yeah, we got too much slop in there. So I'm gonna either have to figure out some sort of a tensioner situation or a half link. All right guys, welcome back. As you can see, we have a chain and it is perfectly tensioned. Let me give you guys a close-up shot here so you can see what I had to do to make that happen. All right, here was the secret. A number 43 half link. It was like $2 at Menards. Problem solved. As you can see, it is perfectly tensioned. There's a little bit of self-clearancing that's going on right there. There's not really anything I can do about that, so we're rolling with it. I'm just happy that we didn't need a tensioner. Yeah, and let me show you what I had to do here. So I actually ended up putting the half link on with the chain, or with the wheel off of the bike, and then I had to slide the wheel back on, but that wouldn't quite fit, so I had to Dremel here on either side and then kind of like put the nut in first and then tighten up the axle. It was quite difficult, but we now have a perfectly aligned chain that is near perfect tension. So yeah, I'm gonna roll with that. All right, so I think we are ready to start wiring up the motor and the battery. So these are the instructions that we got with the kit. It looks like all we need is this thumb throttle and switch combo and the battery and the motor to make it run. And then there's some other things on here for charge, but we can just charge through the built-in BMS on the battery. Indicator, I don't know what indicator that is. I don't know if that's like a state of charge indicator. I don't know. There's something like that on top of the throttle. And then there's also brake lights and then brake. But I think we're gonna try to skip what we don't need and just simplify and then find out if it works. So here's my game plan. I'm thinking about kind of like zip tying this controller under the seat there, and then that works out just about perfect for the length on the power wires going to the motor there. And then for the battery, I'm thinking I'll probably like isolate this with a piece of rubber mat and then duct tape that right there. And then that'll also be about perfect length for those leads. And then my charge cable can just be like taped or zip tied out of the way. And then this thumb throttle's crazy long. I can put that anywhere I want on the bike. I'm thinking I'm gonna put it on the lower part of the handlebars so that I can be in full tuck mode for maximum efficiency for aerodynamics. So yeah, that is the plan. It came with these crimp connectors that match up to these plugs, so I am going to attempt to use them, and if they don't work, I am just going to splice and solder. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I was checking over the instructions here, and it says negative poles of the battery must be connected correctly. Red is positive, black is negative. So that's easy enough. However, on the motor, it doesn't say what direction is positive and what is negative. So it might be a matter of trial and error. This motor can be run in reverse just fine. It'll just freewheel instead of going forward. But I'd like to get it right the first time and not have to repin it. So I have my multimeter set on ohms here, and I see that the red wire and the blue wire are actually connected, and then that would indicate that that is positive, and then they must be doing the speed controlling through manipulating the ground, because I'm getting weird readings all over the place on the two grounds, and no matter which combination, unless it's red and blue. So I'm going to run the red wire from my motor to the blue wire, and then the yellow wire to black. Hopefully that means I'll get it right on the first shot. If not, I can bend the tabs on these and push them back out the connectors. All right, so we have our test set up here. The throttle is hooked up to, let's see, 2-put and power locks, which I don't know what that means, but it's there. We have our motor wired up and our battery wired up, so let's switch it on and see if it works. I should say there was a big spark when I plugged in the battery, so that was a little concerning, but supposedly we got full charge here. I think I'll just hang on to this just in case. Oh, never mind, changed my mind. We're just gonna use the throttle. Hey! It works, and we're going the right direction. Nice! All right, this is just hanging from the rafters with wire, so I'm not gonna get too crazy. Don't want it to catch the table and take off. So yeah, that is a successful test run. Now I just have to put this stuff up on the bike frame, and then it's pretty much done. Nice. All right, guys, so here it is. Here's our finished project, our 1980s Schwinn World road bike with now an electric motor. I weighed this thing off camera, fully dressed all together here with the battery. It's only 9 pounds heavier. We went from 32 pounds to 41 pounds. So that's not bad. Not bad for any motorized bike, gas or electric. Yeah, I'm super stoked to go out and ride this thing. I need to oil up this pedal chain and adjust my seat height and maybe the brakes, but yeah, it's pretty much there, guys. I have the throttle mounted over here, so yeah, we will be in the uncomfortable position the whole time while riding, but yeah, it will be much more efficient with frontal air mass. So yeah, that's kind of the goal here. In some future videos, I'm going to be doing a top speed run and then also some range testing on this just to see what you can get out of the cheapest e-bike kit, which, by the way, including the 2 half lengths that I bought because I didn't know exactly which size I needed, the battery, and the motor kit, and everything else, this all cost me $98. So yeah, that's super affordable. You can build an e-bike for dirt cheap if you want. You don't have to go buy some $550 bike from Walmart or Amazon. You can just put an electric motor on a bike, and that was kind of the point of this project. So yeah, let's go outside and see what it's like to ride. All right, guys, I'm super excited to go out and ride this thing for the first time. I got the chain all oiled up. Both chains, actually. All right, stay. Let's go do some riding. Give it a little help here. Oh, I think I tightened my set screw a little bit too much. Throttle is a little sticky. Ah, it's not too bad, it's wearing in. This is actually super chill and comfortable. I mean, it's not comfortable, it's a road bike, but I am surprised at how quiet it is and how everything's just working. This is actually super chill. Top speed is not much. I certainly could pedal this if I wanted to. I think our camera's going sideways a little bit. Sorry about that, guys. Uh-oh. Made a weird noise. I think we lost our chain. Wow. That broke almost immediately. Interesting. Okay. Why did that freewheel fall apart? Alright. Well, I guess that's why it's got pedals, huh? For another day. Oh man, that's sketch. Okay, well, it was peaceful for a short-lived time. Alright guys, so here's a closer look at what happened. Yeah, that freewheel, it's a little too free at the moment. The chain stayed on. Didn't have any issues with that. This thing just kind of took a dump and fell apart. Huh. Back to the drawing board, I guess. Alright guys, welcome back. So I've been working on the bike a little bit, and I found some interesting things. Let me flip around the camera and show you here. So this was the freewheel. That blue Loctite is something I tried. It came with no thread locker, and there's supposed to be ball bearings on either side of this. You can see the kind of beveled edge there. And what happened was every time I let off the throttle and decelled, which was freewheeling, it was loosening this, which I believe it actually went this way to loosen, or to tighten it went. I don't remember which way that went. Anyway, what happened is the chain tension was a little tight, and that put pressure on the bearings just enough to grab this ring on decel and unthread it. So in my mind, this is kind of a flawed setup. The manufacturer's clearly going to have to do some work on this. But I don't really feel like waiting 8 weeks to get another one. So I think what we are going to do for the time being is just weld this up so that it is a regular sprocket. It's very oily because I just set up the bike and had everything oiled. So I'm going to clean this really good and then preheat this in the toaster oven and then weld it. I'm just going to do that off camera so I don't burn up my nice new camera here. And yeah, and then we will be back with a new road test with a fixed gear. All right, there's our sprocket all welded up, just cooling off now. Just waiting for that to get back down to room temperature so that we don't have any cracking when our welds cool off. All right, so I have our repaired sprocket on, and then I've also adjusted our shims here so that our sprocket alignment is hopefully a little closer than it was before. It's still not perfect, but I think it's about as good as it's gonna get. So hopefully that holds up better. All right, here we go. We have our chain back on. This time, whoa, this time with significantly looser tension. Hopefully not too loose, but we'll find out. All right. All right, here we go. Second time's the charm. I also loosened up the set screw on the throttle.
It feels a bit faster, but I don't know if that's just my fear of it breaking again. Throttle response is good. Still nice and quiet, super smooth. Alright. Yeah, we're definitely getting up to higher speeds than before. Okay. Let's see how D-cell is. Pretty good. Pretty good. I don't think there's any regen on this motor. I think it's just you get what you get. Up a hill? Oh yeah. I pedaled a little bit to help it out, but that was way easier than I expected. Throttle's staying where I need it. Nice. Yep, that's good. Oh, someone with a dog here. Yeah, this is actually super pleasant. Oh, another dog. Some things never change. Doesn't matter if you have exhaust or not. Dogs just don't like motorcycles or motorized bikes. Oh, something flew up at me. Let's slow down and take a look and see what that was. Probably just the stick. Turn the motor off. Okay, I don't see anything broken. Chain is still attached. Yeah, I think that was just something kicked up from the tire. Let's see what it's like to pedal without that freewheel. There's a little bit of drag, but it's so little. Alright, switching the motor back on. Honestly, I don't even know why they had that freewheel on here. Like, the gas bikes have way more drag on a properly adjusted clutch. So, yeah. I am perfectly happy with the weld repair. I don't think I need to replace that, because I'll be able to pedal home when I run out of battery just fine. Adjust the camera a little bit for you guys there. It is so weird how quiet this is. I'm always just used to, you know, buzzing along and making lots of noise with a two-stroke, and by now I'd already be sore. But yeah, even with this rock hard seat, it's not bad because there's no vibrations from the engine whatsoever. And even the chain drive, super smooth. I will say, it does not accelerate quite as quickly as a gas motor, but it is the cheapest kit you can buy. So that is to be expected. I will say that the motor does stick out a little bit, and I did just bump my heel on it, so that's something to keep in mind depending on the size of your bike and where you put your feet on the pedals. And I'm basically just running full throttle the whole time here. Just slowing down. Ugh. Ugh, I'll tell you what though, with a helmet it's a little sore on the neck at that riding position. Alright, let's see, is this getting hot? No. Just very slightly warmer than ambient on the end here. And that's it. Our controller, let's check that out. Ice cold. Battery also ice cold. No, Maybe a tad over ambient. Very, very small amount. So, wires. Cold. Yeah. I think we're doing all right here. And yeah, as a reminder, this battery, not even technically for this bike at all. I think this kit's like designed to have like SLA batteries. I think that's why it has that charge port. But you know, you can literally get lithium-ion batteries cheaper than sealed lead acid these days if you're willing to wait for the shipping from China. So yeah, I'm glad I went that route because it is so much lighter than the last e-bike I built that had SLAs. Yeah, this is totally doable. You could totally daily this. The handlebars are crooked. That's just something I need to adjust. I got to soak with some PB Blaster before I can get that center bolt loose. But yeah, and keep in mind this bike was free. $98 into this whole thing. The bike was free. The motor was like $62. Battery was, I don't know, I think it was like 27 something, and I paid like $4 for chain links just to get the right length. Yeah, super happy with this here. Let's see here. Go this way. I do find myself pedaling it like the first 2 or 3 rotations with the motor just to get up to speed, and then it's just basically regular bike cruising speed, like what I would be pedaling at, but I don't have to pedal. That's the difference. So that's super cool. Make our stop, check here. Yep, that's all it is. Maybe 1.5 pedal cranks, and we're good. This is gonna work. I'm really liking this e-bike. Got a very slight downhill grade at the moment. I'm gonna do a follow-up video to this where we do some range testing and some speed testing, but it's not fast, but it's not like god awful slow like the 9-mile-an-hour e-bike that I built last time. Yeah, this is livable for sure. For sure.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. I had a lot of fun with this video. Yeah, I kind of expected it was going to be a little bit of an uphill battle because the kit, I mean, it was $62. I bought it off of, AliExpress. It looked kind of janky. Shortly after I bought it, the listing was pulled down. So yeah, that's always something to watch out for. But like, it worked. I had to modify it a bit, and I got it to a point where I'm happy with it. Stay tuned for some range tests, and I mean full range. I'm going to charge the battery up all the way and then ride this thing until it quits moving. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're also going to do some top speed tests with GPS too. So if you guys are excited to see that, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and if you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time.